Eva Orner is in Glasgow at COP26 and she joins us now. Eva, you've got a habit of tackling tough subjects in your films, but what made you want to take on the Black Summer bushfires?
I was actually in Australia December 2019 and January 2020 visiting family and friends because I live in Los Angeles. So I kind of landed in the brunt of it and I was just so shocked and I'd never seen anything like it. But there's one thing that really struck me when I was in Melbourne in December 2019. There was a day that was 47 degrees Celsius. I spent 34 years growing up in Melbourne and it never got above 44 degrees in February. So, you know, anecdotally in my lifetime, the temperature in my hometown has gone up 3 degrees and I couldn't believe that people weren't running around and screaming and yelling. You know, everyone was going, yeah, it's hot. And I was like, it's like Baghdad in Melbourne. What is going on here? So I just felt really compelled to talk about what was happening in Australia.
Eva, you spoke to bushfire survivors who had lost everything. What did you learn from them?
I think, there's so many things to say about that. I think, you know, Australians are really tough and really laconic and they really rise to strength and greatness, I think, in terrible situations. So I think the first thing I found was just sort of quiet humility and pride in these people who had lost everything. But there was definitely a kind of a simmering rage underneath a lot of people. And there was definitely a rising feeling about the government not looking after them and betraying them. And even people who didn't really believe in climate change were starting to acknowledge that something was different and things were changing.
Eva, I was on the southeast seaboard on New Year's Eve in the fires there at Bermagui when the fire came through and almost took out the town. And the feeling there afterwards is that people just weren't listening and they were left and neglected in the aftermath of that. Did you pick up that impression as well? And also the sense that when the pandemic hit us and COVID-19 came on us, the conversation moved on and moved so far away from their concerns?
Yeah, I think we filmed in one of the places we filmed in was Cobargo, which is just near Bermagui, and they felt like they'd been completely forgotten and neglected. And, you know, then COVID hit, and so people were just, you know, the focus shifted away from climate change and shifted to the pandemic. And I think people have done it really tough, particularly in rural towns that were hit hard by the fires.
Eva, you're critical of Scott Morrison's action or lack of action on climate change in your film. Is he a lost cause or is he capable of doing more?
I think anyone's capable of doing more. I would say I'm pretty much 100% sure that he won't. He has zero interest. He seems to be very much in bed with fossil fuel companies. And look, it's pretty simple. And, you know, I actually give him a little credit for his handling at the beginning of COVID, how he handled COVID at the beginning of the film, But obviously that sort of fell apart in the way that he handled vaccinations. But I think if he was a forward-thinking leader, which is something we don't have in Australia, we would have been embracing renewables years ago, decades ago. Instead, we're doubling down on fossil fuels. And over the next decade or 2 decades, when China and India stop buying our fossil fuels, our economy will be ruined. And that's just something that he's incapable of seeing. And I find that so shocking.
I reckon if you were talking to him privately, off air, he would probably say something to you like, look, I've got a coalition partner that won't let me do anything. I will probably lose my job if I try to push harder. Other Prime Ministers have experienced exactly that. And I have managed to get us to a net zero target, which is more than anyone probably would have expected that I'd be able to do. Do you have any sympathy for the situation that he's in?
Not really. I'd say choose better partners, find better coalition partners, have better policies, reposition your party. But also anyone in the climate change world will tell you that 2050 net zero targets are pretty meaningless now because we're so far behind our targets. It's really about 2030 and he's done nothing to push forward on 2030. I know politics is hard, but we need clearly better politicians who are going to bring Australia more in line with other progressive countries. And I know I'm really hard on this, but I think it's an emergency and I think we're lagging and it's pretty shameful.
Eva's film is called Burning. You can watch it on Amazon Prime from November 26. Eva, it's great to speak to you again.
Thanks, guys, so much.
God, that must have been terrifying for you being in the middle of those fires. It's hard to believe. Yeah. 2 years almost.
Well, it is hard to believe because that's what life was going to be about, the aftermath, as we were talking before, of those fires. But we were there, we just arrived and then woken by a text message at 5 a.m. saying get as far east as you possibly can. You can't go anywhere now. Just get yourself to the sea. And we were in a beach house that was right on the sea, so we couldn't go any further east. And it was just a matter of waiting and hoping that something happened. And there was a wind change when it was around about 15 kilometres from town. The sky had gone black, and I remember realising that we were been up since 5, and suddenly it was 11 in the morning, but it was still pitch black. And that's when I realised we were just under this ceiling of black smoke. It was horrifying, yeah.